redevelopment, SRA, build to suit projects. Are these words that bore you, or perhaps as a member of the audience, you might feel that they have little consequence in our daily lives? Well, I, for one, personally would beg to differ. To understand a little bit more about why these concepts have actually a lot of importance, not just in our daily lives as perhaps aspiring businessmen, businesswomen, also as prospective home buyers, but also to understand how they are actually an integral part of our city's very ecosystem. We have with us Mr. Shashi Kumar Nambiar of Pentagon Premises, who has been at the helm of affairs as Chief Executive Officer of the group for several years, and we would love to understand more about his group, his perspective about their group's journey, how they have grown over the years. So, Mr. Nambiar, thank you so much for giving us your time. Absolutely a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah. So, right off the bat, there are some concepts that I mentioned, and the reason why I specifically mentioned those words is because Mantri Constructions, Pentagon Premises, which is obviously the Mumbai arm of Mantri Constructions, has been quite intricately involved in these various types of real estate development for over 2-3 decades. So I first and foremost, we just like to understand a little bit about your history, about your group's history. How did you start off? And especially in Mumbai's context, these various types of real estate projects, different verticals as you would perhaps call them, how do you decide which one to pursue? Are they a function of timing or something else?
Let me start by saying Mantri Constructions as a group is a Pune-based group. We operate under several companies which are independent of each other in different markets. In Bombay, we operate as Pentagon Premises Private Limited, which is looking into all the affairs in Bombay and MMR region. How do we pick up projects? Now, picking up projects have two basic requirements. One is locational advantages in terms of its marketability and the feasibility of the project in terms of what bottom line comes out of it. By and large, Bombay as a city is quite marketable anywhere. Mm-hmm. With land resources being scarce, we need to capitalize on what is existing already.
Hence brownfield.
Hence all of brownfield, hence we talk of redevelopment, hence we talk of slum redevelopment and so on and so forth. We came to Bombay in 2005, November.
Okay.
From Pune. The objective coming here at that point in time, we had a large slum in Bombay and was to start the redevelopment of these slums. Mm-hmm. Now, generally a large slum takes a little longer time in terms of its gestation period of getting all the formalities done and its approvals done and physically moving to start work. So there came a time around 2010, 2011 we realized now that we are almost done and the project is going into auto mode, let's try and look at some other avenues. So we started looking at land. Being from Pune, with the character from Pune, we thought redevelopment was not something that came into our ambit right away there. Then we realized the dynamics of land in Bombay are so different to perhaps anywhere in the world. So
because of prices or
not just prices, in terms of the baggage the land comes with. They're so varied and so different from one patch to the other that as an organization we couldn't really put a timeline in terms of how it will grow. So the best option then was to look at redevelopment. Yes, they are a little compressed in terms of margins of the bottom line, but they are sure to put a certain timeline as an organization, how many society we could procure and when do we start and when do we end. So we could put some organizational goals in. Okay.
In business terms, you would say that there is a greater churn perhaps.
Yes, right. And since we're based in Bandra Khar area, we thought let's look at the immediate vicinity, which is highly marketable and volume was pretty decent and the value was pretty high. Okay. Started focusing on redevelopment very seriously. Okay. In the process of redevelopment, we got into situations where we got involved with some interested people who would want us to buy a unit and build it to their requirements. One of the most critical aspects of any project that we do was the meticulous planning that goes behind, the study on what is best suitable for that particular market, and qualitative returns. I'm not saying this, it's a very cliched term, any sort of quality is a very generalized term, But yes, we put a lot of emphasis on each material that goes into the creation of the structure. Build to suit became an option.
Right.
So these are all options that came through opportunities. It was not something that was envisaged when we set the organization up. Okay. And we started looking at those each sets of business opportunities separately. Principally, as an organization, we focused on some redevelopment, which is forte today. We're looking at redevelopment, where we're extremely successful. And the PMC model, the build-to-suit model comes as and how we get an interface with people who are interested in getting children and wanted us to build those structures after having vetted the structure that we've already built.
So
that's how it works.
These
These
are
are corporate entities. These are corporate entities, hospitality units, hospitals.
Also, you mentioned that there was a marked shift in your approach since you came from Pune. And obviously, land is less scarce over there. So, when you moved into redevelopment in full flow, were there some challenges that you realized don't exist in Greenfield? And how did you work your way into it? Now you are obviously more than acclimatized to it.
Majorly. What is redevelopment? I mean, if someone is giving away something that he or she cannot afford to buy again in that typical market.
Because he's been priced out of the area.
So tomorrow he hands it over to a developer and then developer is not able to give it back in a given timeline. His life is on the line. Okay. He can't afford to buy another house.
Right.
So any society, any member is very cautious when it comes to giving it for redevelopment. One of the biggest parameter for them was, let us see which buildings have you created in Bombay. Okay. So when we came here, we didn't have a structure to show. We had acquisitions to show, but no physical structure to show. Whatever we had was all in Pune. Okay. Now, although Pune and Bombay, the distance is not so much, but the operative formalities required to go through the approvals, the structure is totally different. Bombay is atypical in its way, okay, in terms of the kind of charges you got levied and the system.
So on a pan-India level?
On a pan-India level, Bombay is atypical. So it took a lot to get the first society to accept us as their developers, and thereafter we've not looked back. But more importantly, I think approachability to the promoter, to the company, and having done some physical work was prime. And although approachability is great, that is one of our USPs as an organization, but we didn't have a structure there. But nevertheless, they got convinced in terms of our ability and our financial strengths, gave us the first opportunity, and thereafter we picked up multiple projects.
So basically, the human element is perhaps multiplied.
It's simple. If you can empathize with a member of the society, saying how important that house is for him, how he requires to do a redevelopment, but he's very, very unsure of handing over something which is like a piece of his heart. Okay. So he needs to be given that comfort. He needs to understand that his journey is not driven with palpitations and wonder whether he's going to come back to his home or not. Okay. So giving him that comfort in terms of the journey from his old flat being demolished to his new house is something which is very prime.
That is indeed.
Absolutely prime. And you need to keep them, there's got to be regular interface with each one of them. You got to be meeting them on and off. Generally, we do everything. We give them whatever monies they're supposed to get, and we start working. We show them all the approvals, and we forget about them till the structure is ready.
Right.
We don't know how is he spending those months. And a structure is good 24 to 30 months away. And now you need to understand that 24, 30 months. That the new flat is going to be of X size is given. That he's got to get this from the developer is given. Okay, but is it happening? At what speed is it happening? How is it happening? It's very important to keep continuously in touch with every single member of the society so that his comfort level. If he's talking to you and he's meeting you, he's comfortable.
And
when you're out of the radar, he's wondering. Maybe not wondering with real reason.
Right.
Imagination can go wild. Because there are unfortunate incidences that have happened. Of course, they're happening much, much, much lesser now. Because the fact is, nobody can buy that house again.
Right.
Santa Cruz, someone has got a house today. That house was 6 crores. Today, he loses that house. He's not going to buy another house worth 6 crores. His new flat could be 10 crores worth. Okay? But he can't afford to buy another house. So he has to get his house back. It's not only for him. That's something he lives as a legacy for his children. You know? That's the security we give our kids.
Very interesting phrase, qualitative studies of feasibility studies of projects that you take up. But if you can be a little more specific, let's say on your table, if I were to give you three projects, perhaps they could be of different verticals and they had similar financials, what would the other factors be that would make you choose which one to go through? Because for any group, no matter how large, bandwidth is limited, resources are limited, and most importantly, time is limited. So how do you as a developer decide which I should go for?
Few parameters. One is we very keenly study the velocity in a given market.
Micro markets.
Micro market. Specifically to that given location, maybe 2 kilometers around the location, we understand, we study entirely what is coming. We also do what we call as the best suitable study in terms of what is the most suitable size of unit, whether it's residential, commercial, whether it's residential, what size, how many BHKs. We do that study. Understand what is available in the market, what is the traction the market has been getting, what has been selling in larger numbers over the last 2 years, 3 years. There's a lot of data mining now before you come and understand and zeroing into a certain location and what you're going to build.
This all sounds like comparative studies that you do
Absolutely.
when doing an M&A.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's how advanced real estate has become.
Today, yeah. It was not so. Not long ago.
Instinct
past-
played a greater part.
In the past, no, our gut may played the entire part. We walked into the location, we liked it, we acquired it, we felt we need to build X, we built X and we sold.
Yeah, became.
Whatever we built, sold.
Yeah.
Because the gap between demand and supply was so huge. Not that it is narrowed down. In our lifetime, I don't think we'll ever fulfill the housing demand for this country. All our lifetimes put together. Okay. But the kind of demand has shifted. Now it's becoming more focused. The customers today are much younger than before. They do a lot of homework. They're very clear on what they want. Unlike in the past where you said, okay, I want to buy a house, then you don't have that micro details, what size house I want. You generally okay, I want to buy 2 BHK, 1 BHK, 3 BHK, and stop there.
Now we have a lot of options, information asymmetry is less.
Yeah. The most important parameter is velocity that the market has shown.
That's the prime factor.
That ensures the project goes off very smoothly. That ensures your capital is not deployed for a longer time than anticipated. Because the bottom line is getting crunched every year. Yeah. So the faster you sell, the easier it is for the project to come. Exit becomes that much smoother.
That's something that as professionals from a finance background we always love to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's become a science today.
Right.
It's become like any organized industry today. It is not like our gut saying what we should do.
Cash flows are of paramount importance.
I mean, there are markets today when you just walk in, you can see there's one building is entirely sold out, the other building is still selling. Okay. Both are good. There's nothing to really analytically say one is inferior to the other. It's only the size.
The product is not fitting the market.
Because we used more than anything else to say, bazaar mein na 2 BHK bikega. So let's do 2 BHKs more and less 3 BHKs. No, this is a little weaker area, only 1 BHK. We used our gut. We didn't use any data to back up what we felt.
But even today.
And our gut sold in the past.
Right.
So why should we not trust our gut is the feeling that we all have most of the times. But then it's not so anymore.
And we also spoke of home buyers doing their homework quite a bit more, information asymmetry being less. Obviously, RERA has come in. So I'm sure there might be some people who are watching who might have had experiences either personally or in their family of their projects being stuck or delivery being delayed by a few years. So from the other side of the aisle, what would you say to home buyers specifically? What are the major reasons you feel, especially in this city, for projects being delayed? I mean, I know there's a tussle, we can blame regulations, perhaps developers are to blame sometimes not. So what are those factors that actually play into an actual delay?
There are a few factors. The most loudest factor would be the fact that money dries up, so the project gets delayed. Loudest. It will not necessarily be true, but that's how it goes. Factors related to some litigation that comes on the land. Okay. Factors related to some norms in the authority that change. that sometimes changes the entire feasibility of a project. Unfortunately, there's one huge handicap that we work with in Bombay. And I've been vocal about it in many forums that I go and talk. When you start a project under scrutiny, under say norm A, we don't exit at norm A always. Now here, at the time of my exit, which is good 2.5, 3 years away, the norms applicable on that date are something that I have to comply with. Whether it means additional premiums or that means...
So they applied retrospectively.
Yes. So we don't normally it's increase in premiums. We've already sold our material at X price. Now we cannot sell it to a customer saying if there are any changes in the government laws, we'll charge you separately.
You can't
No one is giving us that kind of a bandwidth. Okay. But our feasibility goes for a toss. So by and large, these are small reasons, but it is increasingly getting reduced now. Almost all projects here after RERA got introduced, I think by and large the delays in projects are getting scuttled because RERA is pretty strict on the developers in their default, and things are getting streamlined now. So these are all history. Historically, some may have had some problem in the past, but they really become history now. You don't really hear of projects getting stuck for a long time unless there are either regulatory issues, legal issues. But very, very rarely for financial issues because bailout packages are available very easily. Some people like you offer it. There are other developers who want to step in and finish it, So money is not so difficult to raise if you have good credentials and when you are a clean person. So these are reducing now. With time you will see hardly any issues on that front. That way the government is doing a great job. There are a lot of regulations that are coming in which are ensuring that the developers don't default, which is a good thing from a customer perspective.
All would like to understand from you what advice you would have for societies who are looking for a developer to take up the redevelopment project. They might have 3-4 big names and they might have 2 relatively lesser known names, but all have very clean profiles. So must I always go forth with the biggest name? The obvious answer to that would be no, but that is not very intuitive. So why no? What are the other parameters that I, as a society member, need to go through to have a holistic decision that, okay, let us maybe have these 2-3 people and who are not necessarily the ones who are largest in size?
From my personal, the way I feel about redevelopment is, it doesn't matter who you're dealing with, big or small. Principally, you look at your normal credentials, whether it's financially strong enough, whether it's got any background of not having clearest debts or any civil background, going on, legal things that you need to do. You need to understand the credentials of the person. But more often than not, as a developer, a society or its members, they very seriously consider what sort of returns they're getting. Now, even though we say it's your house, you cannot probably afford to buy another house, so be careful when you give to somebody. But a few percent here and there, a few rupees here and there, just still sways their decision. So the due diligence is required to be done to the extent which it is done, not necessarily done even today. So what they need to look at is purely how approachable the developer is, how he understands the predicament of the member's concern, and how he's going through the entire process of right from pitching to acquiring and going ahead. To me, it's a marriage, and I tell them, you're the girl's side. Okay. If I'm giving my son away, I might not probably do that deeper search about the girl as I would give my daughter away. I would give my daughter away and leave no stone unturned to check on the prospective groom. Okay. So I tell them you're the girl's side. So you do every due diligence required any which way that you want.
Have you personally seen members make the mistake of always looking out for the best deal rather than have this holistic due diligence?
Almost. See, we as humans, who would not want more? We are human beings. Why would we not want more?
So these are biases that we need to acknowledge.
Typically, what happens is, say a developer gives more than the other developer. They want the other developer to do the development, but at the terms given by somebody else. Okay. That's typically where the fight is between the society and the developer in terms of acquisition. Purely one, they'll get a table where the guy giving the most, they'll be happy with developer A, but developer C has given a fabulous deal, So they'll say, hey boss, we want to give it to you, but please give us what C has given. Now, A's operative style and C's operative style may not be the same. C may probably afford to do it, A cannot afford to do it. Like I have an organization cost which is X, somebody may have an organization cost which is Y. You know, they have, each one has a separate way of looking at projects. So that is where generally the clash happens. And more often than not, redevelopment gets delayed in many societies
because of this trend.
because of consensus on who to appoint. You know, so many societies have been trying to do redevelopment for over a decade now. You know, and it'll come a stage where they'll have no choice but then get into someone when the building gets dilapidated and not safe to stay. Now they get that far. So that's part and parcel of life.
If you acknowledge these and if there are more mature conversations around these, then people can perhaps understand this before they get into dig themselves into these holes.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Nambiar, I would like to know from you if you would have any specific advice for members of the Generation Z, Gen Z, if they are looking to enter the field of real estate, which is traditionally looked at as something which is perhaps not as hip, in quotes, I say this, not as modern or maybe other synonyms that perhaps you'd like to throw. So, would you have any advice as to why younger people should consider entering real estate and what value can they bring with their new kind of mindset and approaches?
Oh, there's no denying Gen Z is a category by itself in terms of the way they think, in terms of the way they go about. Okay, what advice do you give a generation who's so well informed? Yeah, I mean, there's not an aspect of anything that they want to do which is not analyzed fabulously and information gathered. They spend a lot of time in gathering information to understand what they need to do next. Okay, which we probably at our time didn't do, or probably don't do even today,
Right.
to the extent which they do. So there's no real advice that we can give them. We can only tell them is this is one of the most fabulous industries that we can probably get involved in. We're giving something to someone which becomes a legacy in life. Either you're staying in a house, which is most essential for any of us. We give homes to people. We give them places where they work and make their fortune and make their future. So there's not a better industry in a way to look at. And it's also financially quite remunerative. Okay, at least you can, a project's gestation cycle is not too long. You get into manufacturing activity. A lot of the activities have a much longer gestation period to start, and thereafter the cycle kind of catches up a little faster. But here it's like rather quick. Yeah? And then they're in different sizes. If you don't have a big wallet, you start small.
Right.
If you have access to a larger wallet, go to these sizes, and all these opportunities are available here. So you need to basically understand, this is a little technically driven field in some forms, although there are consultants of all kinds available in the country today. It's very important to know the business. So you need to really learn that much more. This is one business where there's a lot of work outsourced. There are people who probably have it all in-house, the larger ones, but majority of us outsource them. So it's coordination with a lot of people. So your management skills in a way come to the fore, and you need to be good at that. Okay, you need to ensure that, and each of these consultants have loads of work on their table. So how to get your work done before the others? And each one of them have people who want to get their work done before the others. So we're competing there again. So these are the skills that one needs to understand. Plus our norms in the country are such that we don't have a single window operation. Okay. So I need to go to multiple departments to pick up multiple NOCs. So you need to have knowledge of that, you need to have people who can get that. So there's some amount of homework required to be done. Just building by construction is no rocket science, so anybody can do it. But the road to start to finish is something that each individual has to put in or get advice from someone.
So I guess these are the things that make all the difference in what value addition you're giving to your consumer. So thank you for answering these questions of ours.
Most welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah. So my colleague Shreya, she belongs to this Gen Z category that we just spoke of. I'm not sure how much she is inspired by what we just discussed. I'm sure she is. So I would like to invite her to just ask you a few quick rapid fire questions.
Go ahead.
Over to you, Shreya.
Hi.
Hello sir, so I am truly inspired by the chat. My question is that since you all have been very successful in redevelopment, what is that one thing that people really misunderstand about redevelopment?
One basic thing is they feel the developer makes a lot of money, irrespective of what offer we give them. Okay. So, yes, in redevelopment, the margins are a little compressed and the expectation doesn't end. So, they need to sober down the expectation with the help of BMC and understand the basic feasibilities of a project and tie up with someone they feel comfortable with.
The next question is that one regulation that you would really like to change if you could.
Oh, I would love to, like I said in the past, when I get an approval for a certain building, I'd like to exit under those norms. As a state, they should ensure that I exit only on the norms on which the building has been approved.
Correct.
So any changes that come in over the next 2.5, 3 years, that the timeline or the life cycle of the project should not be applicable to the project. I have been crying post. Okay. But they have their own logic and reason, I'm sure, for not doing it.
So, since you mentioned that today the buyers are very more well aware about what they really want. So, what is that one thing that has changed, say, in the past 10 years about what do they ask? What is that thing that they really want now in their homes or something?
One major change. Only one. I think it's post-COVID perhaps. In the past, the objective was to try and bring into the flat whatever area we could bring in from outside. Encroach it and get our rooms bigger. Okay? The balconies were enclosed, I mean, you enclosed flower beds, you enclosed any niches, anything and everything that was possible to be enclosed and to expand houses, that was the objective. Today is the other way around. Everybody wants a balcony. Everybody wants a dry yard. Okay? They want some amenity in the building. Standalone structures do not generate the kind of traction the amenity-laden buildings do. Yeah? So these things have changed. You know, otherwise, balcony in Bombay is considered waste because you're paying 50,000-60,000 rupees in a market like Bandra, Santa Cruz. So why do I waste it in having a balcony? So it was considered sheer waste of money and space. Now it's not so.
They really want it.
Now they want the. They realize the importance of having a balcony. Perhaps it's the post-COVID syndrome. Okay.
One Mumbai neighborhood that you think is very underestimated, that has not really been looked upon as if a good place, but is really nice.
The MMR region in a way. Now again, it depends on who's looking at it. If I'm a Mumbai city bred, to me MMR becomes like a secondary market. So I don't really look at. But in terms of, if you look at the kind of infrastructure that's work is going on in the city, the new international airport that's coming up that side, a lot of those things. So MMR, it does not give you that A-class kind of a market feel today, which is actually should. There are a lot of pockets in the MMR region which are fabulously clean, wider roads, you know, to a certain extent relatively better planned than our cities. Yeah. So I think that is one place which is fabulously underestimated, the market. But people are realizing it now. The prices are going north. Okay. And although the supply is also pretty large, but the prices are still going north. So it's one region which has a good traction and should become very good as we go by. Extended New Bombay, extended the entire belt, Thane Belapur belt. You know, these are, I think, markets which are going to be giving you a lot of mode of conveyances to reach the city they want in double quick time. Give it another 5 years and we're going to have a lot of infrastructure that is going to be operational. So, a lot of benefits coming in that side. The acquisition cost is much lower than the city today. So that was the opportunity of, increasing your capital base as time goes by. So in every form, it's a market where one should see it most seriously.
Okay. So just to end it, this was the last question, but just to end this, one word that you would like to say about the current real estate market.
Khichdi.
अच्छा, but ऐसा क्यों खिचड़ी?
Walk into any lane today, you will see lights. So I don't know what is, if you look at the numbers in terms of supply, I'm not giving you the numbers now. The numbers that are under construction, the numbers in the pipeline in terms of sanctions, the numbers that are finished over the last 1 year or so, I mean, they're quite large. Okay. So there are some pockets it's very easily absorbable, and some pockets might become a challenge to, offload. we don't have any systemic limitations from one suburb to the other or part of town. Okay, this side you can only do this kind of building, this size of houses, this color of flats. There's no standardization in terms of operating modes. So we all do buildings the way we want. And look at the number of builders that we have today. Let's go back just 2 decades back. There were only limited number of developers for each suburb had a developer who was the most
Correct. They
prime
trust
developer, and he did most of the projects. And if you go to say Bandra, you only talked about X as a developer. You come to Car Center, you only talked about Y as a developer. Today, every building probably has a developer. Okay. So each one works in a different way. Each one creates a structure in a different way. So we don't have any synergy. So it's good in a way. It's tastier, perhaps. Gives you multiple choices. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's all about what we have. So as a buyer, it becomes super challenging.
Yeah, right.
You know, today it's a very exciting time as a buyer. Very, very exciting time. I mean, you have a budget and you know the market you want to be in. I mean, there are the kind of options you have for the same value is fabulously wide. So it's a very interesting. Heading into much interesting times as we go forward.
Oh, okay.
Bigger the challenge, more the fun. Working wise, you know, satisfaction wise.
Right. So that was the end of it. Thank you, sir. It was super insightful, super interesting. It was our pleasure to have this chat with you. Thank you.
It was my pleasure to have a chat with you as well. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate your time.